This is the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com, hosted by Jerry and Mark, your one-stop shop for all horrible movie reviews. From the latest blockbusters and independent films to classics, let Mark and Jerry convince you the world is a dangerous place, though often good for a laugh. Now come and listen to the Horror Movie Show, if you dare.
Howdy, folks. Jerry here.
And Mark.
Bringing you another episode of the Horror Movie Show. And let's just not even talk about what number this is. We've had to do a little rearranging. We wanted to cover the Green Inferno on the last episode. And
we want to be more timely on a few of the upcoming movies.
Yeah, a few movies. Next episode, we're going to be talking about Eli Roth's even newer movie, Knock Knock, which is copywritten 2014, I noticed at the end of the movie. Oh. So even it's not new.
Okay. Well, you know, he's obviously got a lot of things in the burner.
Hopper. Yeah.
And unfortunately, he can't probably get them all out when he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
He has to wait for the opportune time.
So yesterday was Canadian Thanksgiving.
Yeehaw!
And we really like that in Canada. We've arranged things so that we don't have to eat turkey twice in the space of 30 days, unlike our poor American friends. They haven't finished picking the Thanksgiving turkey out of their teeth when they have to choke down another dry, tasteless
Well,
bird.
Not only that, they're already thinking about Christmas presents and all sorts
of...
Yeah,
but they have to be tortured with 2 turkeys within the space of a month.
Yeah, I know.
It's cruel and unusual. Imagine doing that to a child. The turkey industry has got us over a barrel, but the Americans have got it worse than the Canadians.
Yeah.
And the English are smart. They don't have Thanksgiving at all, so they only have to suffer through a turkey once.
So what do they have, Guy Fawkes or something? They blow up a few things?
They explode chicken, yeah. But they don't eat turkey except at Christmas time, I think, and that's the law.
Well, did they have turkeys back then?
Sure, yeah, of course.
So they came from Europe?
No, the wild turkey is an American bird. It was either brought over to Europe shortly after, or there may be a European variety. But there's plenty of birds around the world, and you can call them whatever you like. That's a pheasant, but you want to call it a turkey. You could call it a turkey.
They did have pheasants. Yes, they do have a lot of pheasants back.
The pheasant is, I think, a Eurasian creature. It's in Europe and Asia, but
I guess they're a distant cousin of some sort.
Well, they're all birds.
Yeah, well, they're
all descendants of dinosaurs.
That's it.
Delicious
dinosaurs. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Let's have a piece of dinosaur for our holidays.
T-Rex tastes like chicken.
Yeah,
better than turkey. Anyway, I was going to say the reason I bring up the turkey day yesterday is that we had Mark over to our place. Amazing Trixie and I put on a spread. After dinner, which was pretty decent, we watched one of my favorite movies, The Ruling Class.
Which I had never heard of.
Yeah, Mark had never seen that. A 1972 British movie directed by Peter Medak. It stars Peter O'Toole, Arthur Lowe. I believe
Alistair Sim.
I believe it's the last movie Alistair Sim made. Certainly one of the last. Just a great cast.
It's weird seeing Alistair Sim in color.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah.
He still looks like the same old guy, though.
Oh, well, he always did. Even when he was a young man.
He looked old.
Well, he had those big, bulging, rolling eyes.
Yeah.
And always just a look of horror
and
on
the
his
hair.
face.
And that hair.
Yeah, the wild white hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's terrific in this. So the movie centers on Peter O'Toole's character. His father accidentally kills himself.
Yes.
Wearing a
tutu.
A tutu and a half a military outfit, and he's having a little fun
in the bedroom.
Erotic, autoerotic asphyxiation. And he accidentally kicks the stepladder away, and he's gone.
Too bad.
So that's
he was having fun there.
That's the 13th Earl of Gurney out of the picture, and the 14th Earl is Jack, played by Peter O'Toole. And Jack is mad as a hatter. He believes he's Jesus Christ. He's got the long blonde hair, the blonde beard. He really does. He looks like the blue-eyed, blonde-haired Jesus that the Catholics used to put on their little holy cards.
And you look at his eyebrows, and they look like they've been painted on, and they start right on his nose and go up.
But that's his trademark. He always had those weird eyebrows. But he does. He looks like a plaster Jesus.
Yeah.
And so he's mad as a hatter. The whole first half of the movie is the family, the greedy, grasping family, trying to manipulate Jack, get his wife that they've arranged for him, get his wife pregnant so that they can put Jack back in the loony bin and then run the fortune through the child.
Yeah.
There's also a competing interest, a psychiatrist, a German doctor, who wants to cure Jack, and he wants to make a big name for himself. So he's trying all kinds of crazy therapies, including bringing in an Old Testament vengeful God, the electric Messiah. And the two Christs have a battle, and by the end of it, Jack has split into two people, and a new person is created, and his name is Jack, but unfortunately, it's Jack the Ripper.
Yes.
So
but not the real one.
Well, he believes he's Jack the Ripper.
He
sees the world as if it's the dark 1880s Victorian London.
Yeah.
All the women in the family are now victims to be gutted, sliced up by Spring-Heeled Jack.
Yeah.
Red
and
Jack.
He gets away with it.
Well, this is the horrible moral, the horrible lesson of this otherwise hilarious musical comedy, and that is that the upper class, the ruling class, they can't handle Jesus. They can't handle love.
Yeah.
But they can handle Jack the Ripper.
No problem.
So long as he looks good and doesn't talk love,
yeah,
they can handle him.
Yeah, because...
In fact, he gets along great with the ruling class. Because all he wants to talk about is death and blood and hangings.
Basically...
Keeping the masses at bay.
Yeah. Which is exactly what they wanted to do.
Yeah. Arthur Lowe, to me, he steals every scene he's in. He plays the butler.
Yeah.
And early on, he learns that he's been left £30,000.
Which is huge.
Which is a fortune. Yeah, it's like $100,000, $200,000 in real money.
Yeah, 1970 money.
Well, today's money, £30,000 would be a couple of $100,000.
For dollars. Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so he's wealthy. He could retire. He's an old man. But he sticks around. He's got nothing else to do. And he also fancies himself a cell in the Communist Party. So he's trying to bring the ruling class down from within. And that ultimately does him terrible damage. But Alexei Kronstadt, I love it. That's the name, his secret Russian communist name. Anyway, he's so funny. And once he's rich...
He doesn't give a damn.
And he doesn't care anymore. In fact, he loathes these rich people. And he'll come in and he'll announce somebody, and they're all the ruling class types are in the corner jabbering away, and so he wants their attention. They're not listening to him, so he'll pick up an enormous vase and just drop it on the floor. And everybody turns and he goes, right, okay, are you looking now? So anyway, you want to laugh, and it is a musical.
Not a lot of tunes,
no,
but funny tunes.
Yes, important tunes. When the new Earl, Jack the Ripper, is at the local pub and they're about to go off on a fox hunt on their horses and hounds, he starts cracking wise about killing the criminals, and the hangman is what holds England together, and so on, and that turns into dem bones, dry bones. The next thing you know, all the horsey set are dancing through the town square, cracking their little whips on their boots. It's just nuts. I saw that movie when I was about 14, and it really made an impression on me.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And Peter O'Toole went around on the talk shows. I remember him showing up on Letterman in the 80s plugging this movie, which was at least 10 years old at that time, but it hadn't done well in America. And by the time he was plugging it a second time, Monty Python had broken in the States. And so everybody involved thought, oh, maybe the Americans could appreciate it now, because they get the English
humor,
crazy English humor.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it did well in the theaters the second time. I've never had a chance to see it on the big screen, which is a beautiful movie.
It's a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
A lot of character, and a long movie as well.
A couple of hours.
Well over a couple hours. And I love the fact that they show the difference. The ruling class is so pompous, so inbred kind of thing
and
happening.
Mean.
And it's like their expectations on the masses and all this stuff comes into play. And all these little jabs all over the place in this movie. It's like these little side remarks.
Yeah. It was a stage play to begin with, and it must be a wonderful play to see live.
Yeah.
You can really see how these set pieces would be on stage and then breaking into the songs and so on. Yeah. The only thing similar I can think of is The Singing Detective, where that was like an interesting, mysterious story where the sick man in bed is sort of recalling his life, and it's all in flashbacks, so it's not ABC sort of timeline. It's very here and there, and they break into songs. It's just nuts. It's a crazy play.
You just don't expect it. All of a sudden it happens, and you're going, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, suddenly they're doing the Varsity Rag with Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay, so now on to this episode of the Horror Movie Show. We've got nothing but science fiction movies, science fiction horror this week. But we are going to start with Fear the Walking Dead and the first episode of Season 6 of The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the close to Fear the Walking Dead?
I kind of expected somebody to die.
Right.
And true to form, they killed off one of the major characters in the show. Mm-hmm. So nothing surprising here. I'm not enjoying this as much as I do The Walking Dead.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think even the first 6 episodes, the first short season of The Walking Dead grabbed me more than this.
Well, because it was new. It was different.
Also, the masses of zombies.
Yeah.
As opposed to this, where they're, being doled out one by one by one. You do see a big crowd of zombies. They say there's 2,000 people were locked in that performance hall.
Oh, yeah, the arena.
Arena, yeah.
Which is the old Coliseum here in Vancouver.
Yes, yeah. And, so 2,000 people were locked in that, and they're let out so that they can be a diversion against the army, so that our group can rescue their family members, or try to.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty well done, and I agree. Yeah, it was a little formulaic, killing off one of the core group, but I don't think that person will be missed that much.
Well, no, you didn't really have time. I mean, it's on 6 episodes.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's showing you how things deteriorated from day one to the point where now we have a massive pandemic.
Right.
And now everyone's a free-for-all. It's just gotten to the point where the army has pulled back and just left the remaining people.
They're trying to.
Yeah.
They're about to. Not all of them get to leave.
Yeah. But we're at the point where it's going to be just panic from now on.
Yeah, it should be pandemonium next season.
So it leaves us.
However, we don't know. I mean, is it just that city, or is it around the world?
You would think.
But we see planes going in and out, and that's certainly what the little mini-series that's just online is about, is somebody on a plane coughing and getting sick. And if they die before the plane lands, that's bad news for everybody on board.
Now, the internet was around at that time. So you would think there would be a lot more information coming through from different cities and things like that.
Well, I mean, it is. You do see the video being shared on cell phones and stuff in the early days, so people are passing it around, but the government is very definitely not telling anybody what they know.
Yeah.
Because they don't know exactly what's happening, and there's no point giving half information out because they just don't want panics.
Well, that, and as well as they're learning as much as they can about these zombie things by doing experiments on them.
They also want to save who they can save. They don't believe that they can save the ordinary citizens.
Yeah.
The army is leaving, not because they've decided to leave, but because they've been ordered to leave. Not going to be many women left if it's just army guys being pulled out.
Well, I'm sure they got their harems somewhere.
Yeah, really. Okay, so that's Fear the Walking Dead. I'm looking forward to the next season, but not as much as I enjoy The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Mark. So the first episode, and do bear in mind that we're going to be talking about stuff that actually happens in the episode, so if you haven't seen it...
Go and watch it now.
Go and watch... Yeah.
Pause us right here.
Pause us in mid-sentence and go and see it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the opener for season 6. It was an hour and a half, including the commercials. I thought it was tremendous.
It had a very good style to it.
Yeah.
Black and white being the past and the color being the present.
Yes, more of it told in the past in black and white than what is going on
and not
at the present.
Yeah, not necessarily a linear fashion.
No.
So you're discovering little tidbits of conversation after the fact of what something happening.
Yeah, you don't really know the color scenes, the stuff that's happening now. You don't really understand what they're trying to do until the end of the episode, because you have to see all the flashbacks to fully understand it. But the gist of it is that Rick and his pal, the black guy, they're taking a body out to be buried. The guy who killed the husband of the mayor.
Yeah.
Rick won't allow him to be buried within Alexandria.
Yeah.
So they're just going to dump him in the woods. That's what Rick wants to do. The other guy has more heart. He wants to at least bury him.
Yeah.
So they're out in the woods and they hear a noise and they discover this quarry. This enormous quarry, which is filled with walkers.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of thousands of walkers.
And they've been kind of penned in with semis and
crumbling roads and stuff like that,
which I found kind of interesting.
But it's directly on the route to Alexandria. So the big idea that Rick comes up with is they have to free them, guide them around Alexandria, and send them on their way 20 miles away down a road, so that Alexandria isn't overrun. And this is why Alexandria has survived to this point, because this hole has been gathering the zombies that would have brought Alexandria
they've fallen
down
into this hole.
Yeah.
The noise that they're generating within the hole are attracting other zombies, and they fall in the hole with them, and they're just amassing.
Yeah.
Now, I thought, what a beautiful, perpetual kind of thing happening here. Some of the zombies are getting away because they're scraping through between two semi-trailers, and they're at the same time they're scraping their chests off and things like that. Their skin is
their flesh is just dropping away.
So they're noticing that a few of the zombies are getting away, and they're worried that one of the semis is going to fall in, and then there's going to be a horde of zombies getting away.
Yeah, it will eventually. It'll collapse.
Yeah. I'm thinking, instead of leading them away from the town, they could have brought in some more semis and kind of arranged it so that they would...
They talked about it.
They could walk up that ramp and then steer them over a cliff and let them continually fall over the cliff until they break all their bones.
They talked about that. They talked about how they couldn't just shore it up. The walls themselves would collapse, that eventually the majority of them would come spilling out. And in any case, they decide to go with Rick's plan.
Yeah.
And they're only doing a dry run, and suddenly they see walls collapsing. The zombies are going to be free now. They have a way out, and this is really bad. So Rick says, it's no longer a dry run. It's not a dress rehearsal. We've got to do it now.
Yeah.
So half the people have never done anything like this before. It's only our core group that really
know how to herd.
Yeah, they're the only ones who are used to action, who are used to killing and scrapping. So the townspeople are kind of useless, but they're trying to follow orders, and everybody's in a panic. It was just nonstop action, I thought.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorite episodes. I really liked the opener to season 5, where they're, 3 or 4 of our pals are lined up against the big tub, and they're having their heads bashed and their throats cut like pigs. That was a good opener, getting away from the cannibals. But this one is bigger. This is like the biggest scene that we've seen yet.
It's all digital,
They had 3,000 extras.
Did they?
They had.
You read a little bit about the background.
On Talking Dead, Greg Nicotero was talking about it, and he said they had something like 3,000 extras. So when you see them in that quarry, that's a group of 3,000 filmed here, filmed there, filmed there, filmed there.
Oh, okay.
Right? So Nicotero directed the episode. And because his background is in special effects, he likes to do those effects not digitally. He likes to do them in real life. When that zombie comes squeezing between the two semis, and his face splits open, that wasn't done after the fact. That was a real mechanical effect. The flesh tore off its face at that point.
It was well done.
It was gory as hell, this episode.
I enjoyed that aspect of it.
Right. Let's get on with some of these movies. We got a lot we want to talk about this episode. Let's start with Fantastic Four.
2015 version.
Yes, directed by Josh Trank, written by Jeremy Slater and Simon Kinberg. It stars Miles Teller as Reed Richards, Michael B. Jordan as Johnny Storm, Kate Mara as sour-looking Sue Storm, Jamie Bell as Ben Grimm and The Thing, Toby Kebbell is Dr. Doom, Victor Von Doom. Isn't there another bloody villain for the Fantastic Four to fight?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand
He's the big one.
He gets turned into a mutant at the same time that they do. But couldn't we, okay, I'll see ya, and then have a different villain? Why is it always Dr. Doom?
Or he could have just disappeared in the accident. And
they didn't have to rescue him.
Yeah.
They didn't have to go back that episode. But all they do in this is one gimmicky story, which is going through a portal to another dimension, which is where they pick up their powers and where Dr. Doom was abandoned. And so, however long it's been, 6 months, a year. Yeah. And he's very much changed, and he should be more powerful than any of them. But none of these villains ever kill anybody. He could rip them into pieces and just, they're gone. But he never does. It's always like, I'll punch you so hard, it'll take you a minute to get up.
Are they trying to make him more of a sympathetic character then?
I don't know. He is in love with Sue.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. He always has been. When I read about them making the movie, and then Johnny Storm was going to be black, and I'm going, where the heck did they get this from? Because
that didn't bother me.
No, when I heard about it, it bothered me. But watching the show, I didn't mind. I thought that they introduced the characters okay, but it dragged. They spent way too much time at them being kids, introducing certain aspects of their life.
They weren't kids, not in the comics.
Yeah.
They weren't teenagers. That's Spider-Man.
It depends. Spider-Man was a teenager as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It depends on what version of the mythos.
Classic, man. The 60s.
Classic version, yes. They were not.
No.
But in
Reed
the
Richards
newer...
had gray in his temples.
Oh, exactly. So they have different universes where they have different types of... where they rewrote the mythos.
Well, this was a better movie than the last ones. I never liked those previous ones with Ian Griffith as
I thought that there could have been a little more humor in this one. There wasn't very much.
Yes, it is Ben Grimm.
It's very... It's serious now.
And they can't make up their mind whether the Thing is as big as Hulk or human-sized or what. Because depending on what shot he's in, sometimes he's like
Groot.
20 feet tall, and sometimes he's like 7 feet tall.
Yeah, maybe he can grow bigger by grabbing some earth or something.
Yeah.
The only thing I really disliked about this movie was it just kind of glossed over at the end. Yeah. The end went way too fast, and the big payoff was... Bang! It was done.
I know.
And I'm going, well, why'd you spend so much time at the beginning and then not enough time at the end?
I don't think any superhero movie needs to spend the whole movie rehashing the origin story.
Yeah.
Way too much. The next movie Mark didn't see, but I wanted to give it a mention because the star, Andrew J. West, is known to all the Walking Dead fans. He played Gareth, who was the leader of the cannibals in the 5th season. He's the guy who had them lined up against the tub to cut their throats and drink their blood. So Nightmare Code, written and directed by Mark Netter, stars Andrew J. West as Brett Desmond, Mel Melanson as Nora, Googie Gress as Foster Cotton, Ivan Shaw, Albert Thacker, and Nicholas Guest, who is Christopher Guest's little brother.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. According to IMDb, he mostly does voiceover work, but he puts on an English accent, and it sounds just like his brother's English accent in Princess Bride.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It's funny to hear him. Anyway, the idea is that this young fellow, Brett, played by Andrew J. West, he's brought in at the last minute to try to rescue this code that is this commercial product that's supposed to go out, and it's a facial recognition. It's supposed to read facial expressions and predict crimes in advance. So the idea is that it could be put into a shopping center and criminal activity would be detected beforehand. Mm. So there's a little bit of the Minority Report
that's what I'm thinking.
feel to it. But it's also a little bit of Lawnmower Man, because ultimately the original coder, who's an older dude, played by Googie Gress, he plays Foster Cotton. Foster is this was his brainchild. He went on a killing spree, and killed almost everybody in the office.
Oh.
Because just wearing a pair of glasses, you can see what people are thinking.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the idea. And so anybody
he can anticipate.
Yes, and anybody who he sees is lying to him or contemptuous or hates him, he killed that day. So there's only a handful of people who are nice to him.
Right.
And then he blows his brains out and seems to have gone into the computer itself. Oh. So there's the Lawnmower Man aspect, right?
Right.
So it's not a bad movie. There's only a couple of really decent actors in it. That's West and Melanson. I thought they were pretty good. Everybody else is a little amateurish. The entire thing takes place in an office. One half of the team is supposed to be in Nairobi, I think it is, being led by an Indian programmer. Mm-hmm. All they've done is they've just put a different wall up. I don't even think they had to move the camera. They just put a different backdrop in and sat him in the exact same chair. But this code is, of course, now in 2 offices, and there's mayhem occurring now in both offices. By the end, the idea is, can it be contained? How can it be contained? How can it be stopped?
Well, how is this code affecting people?
Well, anytime you look at the computer, it reads you and then tells you what you want to hear. Like it brainwashes you.
Oh.
That's sort of the idea. So the main guy, West's character, is intimately into this. Like the code is rewriting itself. The program is actually going backwards. And not just rewriting the version they're working on, but it's going back into the archives and rewriting older versions of itself, so they can't go to the backups and try to fix it, because the program itself is like a giant virus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's well done, and lots of people have tried to do computer stuff. This one felt fairly up to date, and it was quite chilling. It sort of goes with the robot movies we've seen lately, the artificial intelligence movies like She.
Yeah.
And what was the one with the robot gal who winds up being extremely ruthless so that she can escape the...
Is that the one where they go off to the main guy's house
in the woods?
In the woods, yeah. I can't remember the name.
Good movie, though. So that's Nightmare Code. I'll recommend it.
It sounds good.
Something completely ridiculous now. Pixels. 2015 movie directed by Chris Columbus, who always makes lightweight movies.
Yeah.
Written by Tim Herlihy. It stars the execrable Adam Sandler, Kevin James. Jesus God, Kevin James playing the President of the United States. And he's still doing his fat man dancing, and they're all mugging like they're 4 years old looking for cookies. Michelle Monaghan, Peter Dinklage, he should know better.
Yeah, but I did like his performance.
Oh, he's good,
yeah.
but it's a terrible movie. Josh Gad, who is the hysterical, shrieking fat guy in this movie. Every one of these stupid comedies
Josh
has a screaming, hysterical fat guy in it.
He plays the snowman in the one Disney animation about the snow princess, whatever it's called. Frozen. Yeah.
Right.
He's good in that because it's a nice sense of humor.
Right.
But every time he talks, I think of this Olaf the snowman.
Right.
He sounds the same all the time.
Well, he's awful in this. Some decent actors, again, who should have known better. Brian Cox, Sean Bean, and old Dan Aykroyd makes an appearance. So, Adam Sandler, my God.
Doesn't he look really tired?
He just looks like he ought to be retired.
And I like the fact that he actually mentioned his weight, that he is overweight, and he admits
There's lots of fat guys in this movie.
Yeah, but he's not as big as Kevin James, but still, he could lose 20, 30 pounds.
He could lose his acting career.
I don't know. I didn't mind his character.
Right. Oh, this isn't as bad as many of them, but geez, they always go to the fart jokes and the poo jokes. And
yeah.
They're so childish. It's like what makes them giggle is stuff that would make an 11-year-old giggle, and not a mature 11-year-old.
And there you go. And 11-year-olds would probably like this movie.
Yeah. And yet, it was aimed at adults.
You think?
Yeah, I do.
Really?
Yeah, it's got cussing and stuff like that in it.
That's true. It does have some language.
Yeah, it's pretty.
If they would have aimed it at the proper audience, then it would be fine.
That's what I'm saying. You're going to make a children's movie. Make it so children can go.
Yeah.
Don't pretend it's an adult movie when it's ridiculous. So the idea is that NASA sent up a probe at some point that had a bunch of computer games or something.
What it was is that they sent a probe up with what was current of the day, and they had this contest of the best video arcadist,
like early 80s.
Yeah,
so it's Donkey Kong and it's Pac-Man
and
all those terrible old games. Aliens discover this probe and they say, right, they're declaring war on us, and they create the video game characters for real, and they send them back to attack the Earth.
That's it.
There's going to be 3 battles. The humans don't even know what's happening in the first one. The second one, they're ill-prepared. The third one, they've got the old champions of Galaxian and Pac-Man and Donkey Kong, and they have to battle them. And, it's just so ridiculous. Very childish idea.
Then they use cheat codes, and the aliens get all upset about that. It's like...
So they should. Yeah.
You gotta
kill us. We don't deserve to live.
But Dinklage plays his part so well.
Yeah, he's...
At the beginning, they use some sort of, I guess... I don't think it's a different actor, the young Peter Dinklage character.
Oh, yeah, it is a different actor. Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because he sure looked like him.
Yes.
And
2 little guys.
And behaved quite a bit like him.
With the mullet. And
I just thought his claim to fame, him being a prisoner and getting out of prison and all that stuff, and just his mannerisms, he just pulls it off quite nicely.
His character getting out of jail and being asked by the ridiculous president to save the Earth and help save the Earth, and he wants to not pay taxes and all that. And that's straight out of the movie with Bruce Willis, where the asteroid is going to smash into
that's
the
right.
Earth. They're deep miners.
That's Steve Buscemi that doesn't want to pay taxes anymore.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's a mess. The effects are terrific, but not enough to win me over. Effects alone are never going to win me over.
Yeah, and I agree in this case. I mean, the story could have been so much better and aimed at the proper audience.
Yeah.
And then that's fine. But
why not
these
make
guys
a kids movie?
Yeah. But maybe even a period piece.
You know what kills me is that I'm pretty sure that Adam Sandler and Kevin James are probably not supporters of Obama. They would like a president like this, a joke. The movie just stunk on ice as far as I was concerned.
It's
a
no-brainer.
Peter Dinklage was good. The Brian Cox, Sean Bean, Dan Aykroyd. They're solid, but they're not in it enough to really matter.
There was a few
And I just
laughs.
wanted to smash that Josh Gad with an old console game system and just smash him until he couldn't come back to life anymore. Take all 3 of his lives away from him. He's done.
Yeah. The childish relationship between Sandler and the girl.
Yeah.
It's like
all they do is snipe at each other.
Yeah.
Again, it's like what a 14-year-old boy thinks is
when they
clever
first
romance.
When they first meet, you have sympathy for them because they're both damaged people.
Yeah, they're both sad, lonely people.
And then they start bickering.
Yeah.
And I'm going, what the hell? Can't they be nice to each other?
It just becomes a dick measuring contest. They just keep trying to one-up each other.
Yeah.
Exactly like children would do. But that's Sandler. I mean, he's made one adult movie, as far as I know, and that was for an adult director. Now, our next movie is considerably better. It's called The Harvest. It's a 2013 movie directed by John McNaughton, written by Stephen Lancelotti. It stars Samantha Morton as Catherine, wonderful guy. Michael Shannon as Richard, I always like him. Natasha Callis as Marianne. Charlie Tan is Andy, and Peter Fonda.
Yeah, surprise.
He's back as grandfather.
Yeah, he's playing the old man now these days in all the movies.
Yeah. He had a comeback in that movie where he plays a beekeeper who has to go out and wreak vengeful havoc. But, everybody is good in this movie. It's a weird movie.
It is. It started off like an after-school special, with these kids.
Yeah.
One's in a wheelchair, bedridden.
A sick boy.
Yeah, he's a sick boy. And the other is a girl that lost her parents and now has moved to a small town. And
she's living next door to them now.
And it's their relation and how they meet and things like. And then there's the parents.
Yeah.
Which is odd things that are happening.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And
there's a big secret in the house.
His mother is just the scariest woman.
Yeah. Samantha Morton. Yeah. She's terrific.
She plays a real good schizoid, and she ends up just going off the deep end towards the end of the movie. Right. So that's very scary.
Yeah, and Michael Shannon, who's made a career of playing wild-eyed lunatics, he winds up being closer to the voice of reason.
Yes, the dad.
He's like a red herring right from the start, because you see Michael Shannon, you think, he's the main loon.
Yeah.
And he's not. He's just sort of a lieutenant loon.
Yeah. He's being pushed around by his wife, basically. Yeah. And he has sympathy for the kids.
Yes.
Yeah. And he wants them to have a relationship, the girl and the boy, because he knows that he's cooped up in this room with really no life.
Right.
The life is just passing him by.
Well, the reason that he has no life.
Well, I know there's reasons, and I don't want to really get into them.
The title is indicative of the reason that they have this sick boy at home, The Harvest.
It's October.
The cornfield.
I'm going, there's a harvest happening.
We're talking about harvesting something entirely different.
Yeah, which is...
terrific movie. This is a movie aimed at adults. This is a movie with interesting characters that have depth to them, and the story is not something that you can throw away.
It's a slower movie.
Yeah, it's thoughtful.
It starts speeding up towards the end to the point where it's going all over the place.
Yeah.
So a great ending.
Oh, it's a wonderful movie.
Yeah.
And what I remember, it's not one of these movies, it's set up for a sequel. No. It's a story.
Yeah.
And a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah.
And it's really well done. I didn't know what was going to happen until I was supposed to know what was going to happen. And that, to me, is a well-made movie.
Yep.
So next on our list is Project Almanac. It's a 2014 movie, and this one is very definitely aimed at teenagers.
Yes, because it bothered the hell out of me.
Okay. Directed by, that's a funny name, Dean Israelite. Never heard that name. Written by Jason Pagan. So you have a pagan and an Israelite, and co-written with Andrew Deutschman. So you have a German, a pagan, and an Israelite.
Are these names made up?
It sounds like nom de plumes, yeah. Stars Johnny Weston as David Raskin, Sophia Black Dahlia. Now that also sounds like a made-up name, because the Black Dahlia was a famous murder case. Sophia plays Jesse Pierce. Sam Lerner plays Quinn Goldberg. That's a nice made-up name. Alan Evangelista plays Adam Lee, and Virginia Gardner plays Christina Raskin, sister of David. So this movie is about time travel.
Yeah.
So it's less science fiction, more fantasy.
Yeah.
And they have a nice little conceit in this movie, which is that they get the plans for the time machine from themselves in the future. So the reason that they have a time machine is because they sent it backwards to themselves so they could build it so that they could send it backwards to themselves. It
is a weird movie.
a nice loop, and of course they have to be careful of the usual problems of time travel, which is making yourself non-existent.
Yeah, there is a sort of a feedback that can happen.
Yes.
Yeah, you gotta be aware of that. It drove me nuts the way these kids just haphazardly.
Right. These are not bright or thoughtful kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's like developing the time machine, and they know that at some point it will work because they see an old video, and they see one of them in the old video.
Right.
They do an experiment,
like his own childhood birthday.
Yeah. So they're doing this experiment with this toy car, and the first experiment of time travel, and the toy car ends up embedded in a wall.
Right.
Right away, I'm going, okay, you got to be a little more careful.
That's dangerous.
And so what is it? What happens is this girl's egging them on. You can do it. Let's do it now. Let's no more experimentation.
Yeah.
We know it works because of this video. Let's jump it. And I'm going, what a stupid thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like everybody says, okay, all of us are going to jump in at the same time, and things start flying all over the place.
They have a certain logic, because if they've seen the one guy in the earlier video, then he must survive.
Yes, he survives, but what about the rest of them? They could have all been blown apart
or stuck in a wall.
Yeah, infused in a Cadillac somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it blows my mind how stupid they rush forward into this. And like a fantasy, nobody gets killed.
No.
You know, everything works out okay, even though it didn't look that way at the beginning. And that bothered me because I'm going, this is just stupid mentality, and there was no thought of consequences of that can happen.
Yeah.
And, it's la-di-da, it happens. And that wrecked the movie a little bit for me. But at the same time, I thought it was an interesting movie.
Yeah.
It had some good ideas. Some of the stupid things they do, like this guy wants his test, his chemistry test, and he does it like 10 times before
Groundhog Day.
I'm going, what an idiot. You know, you have a time machine, and that's what you're going to waste your energy on is acing this one test. And the thing is, he showed no humility at all.
No.
He just got worse and worse and worse every time he took the test. Yeah. And I'm going, what an idiot. He hasn't learned anything.
No.
That really bothers me.
Time travel movies or TV shows are tricky because it masquerades as science fiction, but it really isn't. You have a movie like 12 Monkeys. That, to me, is top of the game.
Yeah.
That's a great time travel movie. It brings up the conundrum where he actually sees himself die.
But he doesn't realize that.
No, of course not. No, but he comes to realize it.
Yeah.
And the heroine comes to realize it as well. She looks for the young Cole. Right after Cole has died, and in her arms, she looks around and she makes eye contact with young Cole. And it's so touching.
Yeah.
And there's other good science fiction movies. I like the Van Damme movie, Time Cop.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought that was
I can't remember much about that.
Ron Silver, the villain, and there's a couple of him running around, right? He's gone back, and the older, wiser, richer villain has gone back to advise his young self, just getting started in politics, what he's got to do. And to get rid of the villain, Van Damme kicks one Ron Silver into the other, and they sort of, oh no, and they merge into this great protoplasmic thing, which explodes because two objects can't occupy the same space, which is silly. Why wouldn't they just bounce off each other? But there you go. So it's a great way to kill a villain anyway.
Project Almanac was shot like found footage again, and it was a Michael Bay movie, right? And Michael Bay actually produced this movie.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, which I found really funny.
Yeah.
But I just got sick and tired of the found footage shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always, they're running around and they're getting the shot. Always running around. It's like their life is being threatened and they have time to take the shot.
Yeah, focus.
It just drives me nuts when I see like that.
It's a rare movie where the found footage is really useful to the story.
And another thing that bothered me is like they got a time machine. They go and win the lottery. But they only get 6 out of the 7 numbers, and they don't bother go back and do it again. But that guy will do his test 10 times, but he won't bother going back once to get all the 7 numbers. So they win $15 million instead of $1.5 million.
Yeah.
I'm going, what What?
No, it's
what?
Really not. So, Mark, you're saying that you would recommend this movie above all others. This is your favorite movie this year. Okay, we know what's going on Mark's top 10 list.
Yeah.
Yeah, not. Okay, now we've got one more movie, and I would classify this as science fiction. Mission Impossible, Rogue Nation. I think it's about the 19th Mission Impossible movie.
I think it's the 6th or something like that.
5th, 6th, 7th. It really doesn't matter because they've been remaking
the same one.
The same one since I think the second one.
They've got a formula. You know, they something is threatening them as a core group, so they disband, and then they have to come back together because they need each other.
It's like the Star Trek movies, the original Star Trek movies. You know, Spock's not here. Oh, wait, here he is. He's knocking at the door.
and then now they're going to kill off Kirk, you know?
Yeah.
But no, what I find about this is that nothing ever goes smoothly.
No.
And there's always...
last second.
Yeah. Saves all over the place.
In this one, Tom Cruise's character, Ethan Hunt, he dies in the first big spectacular part of the mission, which is holding his breath 3 minutes max.
Which seemed like 10.
Well, it was, and with editing and so on, it was significantly longer, and he has to be resuscitated, right? He doesn't really die. I don't think I'm giving anything away there. But they even show you that in the commercials. But what killed me is they're supposed to be a genius team. All you'd have to do is read in the Guinness Book of World Records for holding your breath. The guy who held his breath the longest supersaturated himself with oxygen.
Right.
And then he was able to hold his breath, I think it's like 7-8 minutes. So, Ethan, you're not allowed to take metal into the thing. That's why he has to hold his breath. Supersaturate and then go in.
Sure.
And also... how about a plastic tank?
Yeah.
A plastic tank and air hose?
Yeah.
There's no reason you couldn't do that. It doesn't have to be as strong as a metal scuba tank. It only has to hold 10 minutes of oxygen.
Exactly.
It's really stupid. I mean, they've got devices here that make them practically Superman, and yet they haven't figured out that they can take a sack of air with you in a dry cleaning bag.
Yeah.
So dumb. But hey, that's attention. That's and I was certainly twitching. Trixie and I watched this movie together. And that holding your breath, and it's like way past. He's got a flat wristband that's like a computer, and it's way past 3 minutes. I was twitching, my legs were moving.
I just love the fact that he's like in a giant washing machine.
Yeah, what the purpose of the swishing arm was, I don't know, except, you could drop your shirts in there. At the end of the day, it keeps your information safe.
And this is the best way of cooling this computer.
It's really dumb.
It's just like this giant washing machine.
And it's not even, like, super cold. It's just a big swimming pool.
It's not like freezing cold.
No.
Why not use Freeze-On and use it like a regular cooling system?
Freon,
Freon or whatever.
Yeah, I know, because then he couldn't swim in it.
It was silly but fun. All these movies are fun.
It is, but Teresa had just watched the 2 previous movies to this.
Right.
And she was wondering, where did his wife go? He just got married. Did they kill her?
No. They faked her death so that people couldn't get back at him.
Right. But here he is.
He's hiding her.
Oh, okay.
In Vancouver, for that matter.
Oh, okay.
Because at the end of one movie,
she's never mentioned.
She's in Granville Island, and he's watching her from afar.
She's never mentioned, and he's certainly not. Well, he never does have sex with the fabulous British agent, who's played by Rebecca Ferguson as Ilsa Faust. That's a villain's name, and of course, we don't know whether she's on the up and up or not. So it's the same team. Jeremy Renner and Simon Pegg joined sometime after the first one.
Yeah.
But Ving Rhames was in the very first movie.
You can see he's slowing down. They're shooting him around him so badly because he can't even run anymore.
You telling me what to do? Oh, he's such a big bad man.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want to be involved, and then he's barely involved.
Yeah. And same with the previous movie too. It was like that.
So there's 3 villains in this. The main villain is Sean Harris, and my God, God, does he look scary.
Yeah.
He is just the epitome of evil. He's sort of like Goebbels, only really ugly. Simon McBurney also plays a villain, and Alec Baldwin plays the ubiquitous
CIA kind of guy.
But what I was going to say is he plays the ubiquitous higher up who's unhappy with the cop who's getting results.
Yeah.
Right? He wants to shut Ethan's IMF team down.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is essentially, I think he's had a bad ham sandwich. Because Baldwin just looks bilious and sore the whole movie.
Yeah. And it was kind of like a typical...
And he's not even smart.
Yeah.
He's like a dumbass.
The whole idea is that they're trying to dismantle the special missions program. And there is this rogue contingency that is controlling the world. It's like the 1% of the 1%.
The syndicate.
The syndicate that controls everything. And Ethan finds out about this, and he wants to expose them.
Well, this has been going on in the last few movies.
Yeah.
Like, this is the secret villain that he's been pursuing that is ultimately the root of all the big evil in the world.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be multinational companies.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be corrupt politicians being paid off by the NRA and the oil industry. It wouldn't be that.
No.
It has to be like a Spectre sort of James Bond.
Yeah.
Now, this series of movies is in direct competition with James Bond. Although I suppose people who like them both go see both.
Yeah.
This one is maybe a more laughs than the current James Bond, which is taking itself very seriously.
Very seriously, yeah.
This Bond is not Roger Moore.
No.
He doesn't even have as much fun as Sean Connery.
Yeah.
And Sean Connery was a serious James Bond.
Now, if you read the books...
Which?
The James Bond books.
Yes, I read some.
He is a really serious character.
Oh, he's a cold-blooded killer. Yeah.
And damaged.
Yeah.
He is constantly struggling with who he is and what his place in the world.
What have you read? Which books?
The first couple.
Yeah.
I can't remember the titles offhand, but
I read Goldfinger.
Dr. No.
I read Goldfinger. I really like Goldfinger.
Dr. No, and I believe Casino Royale is one of the first ones as well. And he is so serious in there, and he gets injured, and he has to recover, and all this stuff.
You know, the author Ian Fleming wrote Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. And it's funny because it's a car all tricked out.
Yeah,
which is what he always had in the James Bond stories.
He loves his cars.
I remember in Goldfinger when I was reading that, and it was long after I'd seen the movie. In the 70s, I would have read it, and the book came out probably 15 years previous.
Yeah.
And the fantastic technology that Bond has is a tracking device which he's able to drop into the trunk of somebody else's car. Hardly bigger than a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
I thought that's so funny. Now, you put it in their sandwich so that they eat it.
And same with a camera. A camera fits in the cigarette pack.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's miniature.
Yeah,
real miniature stuff.
Yeah.
It was interesting that The Man from U.N.C.L.E. came out about the same time as Mission Impossible. Yeah. I don't know anything about it.
Playing it as a comedy.
They're bringing back all these old TV shows.
Yeah, I know, because they have no imagination in Hollywood. No, they don't. They're
but they're beloved
characters
that people would want to see more of.
Now that's their spin on it. What the truth is that they won't hire original writers. They won't pay for original scripts. You want to see something original, you have to find an independent studio to...
Is that... Well, I think it's a combination of both.
Well, you look at the mainstream stuff.
Right.
Pixels.
Yeah.
You know, is that worth our time?
Talking about branding and, pushing these old games, I'm sure their whole slew of games that are going to come out.
Every time they're on the street, it's Coca-Cola or Pepsi or Exxon.
All over the place. Just one big commercial.
It is. It really is. And the little cars that they use to battle the Pac-Man, that's just an ad for minis. It's just an ad for minis.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. They probably paid the whole movie off by selling commercial time to these people.
Well, that's how it felt.
Yeah.
It just feels like a commercial that I'm paying money to watch.
Yeah, as soon as I saw the mini, I'm going, where have we seen this before? Oh,
Ocean's 13 or something.
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah, no, it's not original, not at all. Okay, well, let's just quickly go through. So, the end of Fear the Walking Dead, I thought it was a pretty good wrap-up, but I'm looking forward to all the action being ramped up, and more characters too, I think, in the next season.
Well, of course, they have to get more characters they can kill off.
Yes, they have to have people to die.
Typical thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really like The Walking Dead. I don't think that
and once again,
they can be too ambitious at this point.
They killed off one of the townsfolks.
Yeah.
In this episode, and that bothered me. The guy gets bit in the face.
We don't, but he was like a one episode character. We got to know him this show, and we got to say goodbye to him in this show.
Yeah, the thing that bothered me is that he gets bit in the face, and then he starts yelling and
won't
yelling,
stop screaming.
Now, real people wouldn't behave like that. He's
a panicking, terrified man who should not have been out there to begin with, and he probably wouldn't have been. This was just a dry run. So many of these people, and he's dead set. He's the voice of sanity. He's the one saying there's too many problems. There's too many things could go wrong. This just isn't safe. And everybody says,
I know
we've got
that,
to do it.
But a person that gets his face bit off is in shock. And he wouldn't be sitting there screaming his guts out. He'd be sitting there in awe.
He's lying there, writhing in agony. Dying, and he knows he's dying, and he can't shut up. Lots of people do that. You hear battlefield stories, Mark. You know, the guy gets shot, and he's hung up in the barbed wire, World War I, screaming for 2 days. I mean, this is the sort of thing that happens in battles. Oh. Some people will react that way. And, of course, there's a reason that they had to have somebody reacting that way so that Rick could do something, which is a first for the show. You can't call it a mercy killing, but it's a necessary killing.
It is a mercy killing.
No, it's not mercy. It's an emergency, and he has to shut that guy up.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he'd gone into shock and he was just lying there bleeding and you know dying to come back, that's one thing. But Rick kills a human being. He shuts him up the only way he knows how, and that's...
Well, yeah, he'd had it coming to him, too. I mean, those guys did not like each other.
Yeah, but I don't believe that. They buried the hatchet, and the guy was entirely on side at that point, and that was his downfall. Because he thought, right, we're going with the plan, and I'll take point, and he ran out, and he didn't know what he was doing, and he got bitten. You know, so, no, he's entirely a victim, and I found that believable. I can see some people are going to react screaming and kicking and throwing a tantrum because, well, first off, I'm sure it hurts like hell for one of these disgusting zombies to eat your face.
Yes,
and some people go into shock and some don't.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking that he was smart enough to know that his yelling would attract more zombies.
He's hysterical. He doesn't know anything. He is in shock, and the way he acts out while in shock is screaming. Some people do. I had no idea you were such a cold person. You just stuck the knife in him before he started yelling.
Oh yeah, before he even got there.
Well, he almost had a bullet in the back of his head. Fantastic Four. Would you recommend it?
It's probably, of all the Marvel movies, other than the other Fantastic Fours that were previous, it's probably one of the weaker ones.
Yeah, it is pretty weak. I liked it better than the first two Fantastic Four. I had no problem with the cast being younger and all that, but it's not a great movie.
It's not a great storyline. It's treading over used material, really. I think that if they want to make another movie with these actors, with a better script, I think they would do well.
Yeah.
I think it would do well.
Maybe the inevitable sequel will be better.
Yeah.
Mark didn't see Nightmare Code. I liked it. I would recommend it. It's a little movie, but it has a really good evil computer plot.
It sounds good.
Yeah, it was. I would recommend it. Pixels. Avoid it.
Yeah, and if you're 5 years old and you don't mind swearing, then go see it.
That's right. Yeah, if you're a dirty little bastard, you can watch that. The Harvest.
It's a good movie.
Good movie.
But it starts off really slow, so give it time, because by the end you're off the seat.
I didn't think it was slow at any point. I liked the pacing. That's probably the best movie we saw this episode. Project Almanac. If you're a teenager and the one thing that you wish you could do is go back and take a test until you ace it.
Yeah.
This is for you.
Yeah.
But it's childish and it's not
silly.
well written. And once again, Michael Bay gives us a action-loaded piece of crap.
And I really think that they're killing the found footage. They're it's just
beating it into the ground, aren't they?
Give him a break.
It's such a cheap way of making a movie.
It didn't have to be a found footage movie.
No, it didn't, and it shouldn't have been. And finally, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. If you like the Mission Impossible movies, which I don't...
I do, so I thought it was watchable, okay. and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it. Teresa,
it was your typical Mission Impossible movie, and then he did his own stunts. You know, he's hanging off the side of.
Yeah.
My God, did they beat that to death in promotion? Yeah. Oh, he's really on that plane. Yeah. This is not a special effect.
They had to use 8 tubes of crazy glue to get him onto the side of that airplane.
I just thought they beat that to death.
Yeah.
Oh, he's doing his own stunts.
Yeah, well, he loves to talk about that on the chat shows. I look forward to seeing Rebecca Ferguson and other stuff. What a fabulous babe she is. And I thought she was a good action heroine, because you don't know where she's coming from. You don't know whose side she's on.
Yes.
And she comes across as genuinely complex.
Yes.
As opposed to just the pretty face who can
Pussy
fight.
galore.
Yeah. Okay, folks, so we're going to say so long, and we'll be back next week with our Halloween episodes.
Woohoo!
Yeah, woo. And we'll be talking about Eli